Start. Yeah. So I think yesterday, not yesterday, I think last week we have seen SSH and how to connect to remote servers and how to copy files and directories and about password authentication and everything. Today we will see a little smaller topic, but yeah, important one. So yeah, I think so far we haven't discussed like regarding memory, regarding CPU or disk, all these things. I guess I mean in Linux how to check memory and all. I think we haven't discussed that, and we haven't discussed how to check the size of the file. That is also. So today let's see all those things. Let's see how to check this size of the file or a directory, and how to check the memory, CPU, and disk usage. There is one more thing that also we'll see. So let's start from this command lsblk. So lsblk means list of blocks. Simply, it means list of the hard disk which we connect to our machine. Let's say if you in Windows, if you see, if you attach something, let's say pen drive or something, or some hard disk, let's say, it will show you local disk EC something, right? And some names it will be, usually that will be local disk CD, it will be already there in your laptop. If you attach any extra thing, it will be EFGH something, some random letters from A to Z. So here also in Linux also, when we do something, when you attach a hard disk or a pen drive, it will come like that. So what we call them is partitions, or simply, sorry, not partitions, disks. So here, let's say here XVDA is the disk name. If you remember, I told you at the beginning, every disk name will be slash dev slash whatever the name. So what is our disk name currently? XVDA. XVDA. This is the name. It won't work like that. So let me show you. See dev XVD. Dev. What is one I'll show you later, but for now this is the format usually it will be coming. So what is this XVDA? I mean, why XVDA means? It's a default format that Linux follows. In AWS it is XVDA will come. I don't know about the Azure and other things, but in normal Linux, when you install Linux on a VMs or local, it will come SDA. Yes, SDA. In AWS it just XVDA. Just remove yes, XVDA. That's it. Similar way in just like in Windows, like a local disk C, E, D, F, something like that. Here also it will be like that. XVDA, DB, DC, DE, DF, like this usually we'll get. So when you attach more disks, the letters will be like that. XVDA, B, C, D, something like that. So those are called disks. I mean, we attach the disk, and with LSBLK, we'll see how many disks are there. So currently we have only one disk. Correct. All right. Let me create one more disk and attach to you. Forget about how I'm creating. This is AWS. I mean, since we are using AWS, so this creation and all will come on AWS. I'll tell you when time comes. Don't worry, just forget whatever now I'm doing. Size 10 GB. What is our server? Instance, someone. C. Create a volume. It's create. What the heck? Yeah, this is the 10 GB volume. New volume. It's created. Yes, for creating. Yes, created. Attach instance server one is. See, if you observe, see SDB. This is normally you will see, but if you observe here, new Linux kernels may rename your devices to XVDF through XVDP internally, even when new device name entered here as shown in the details. So the new Linux versions will change your name by default to XV instead of SD. So let's see in here. Super. Now let's try this command again. If you see, there is one more disk. That means I attached another hard disk to my laptop. Simple. How do you find the disk? Let's say you forgot the names, whatever this is. How do you find whether it's a disk or something else? See, disk type, disk. When I have something else, I'll tell you just now. See, right? So these two disks are now attached to our server. LSBLK will show you what how many disks are attached, everything information. Now I have my disk. So usually what will happen is like if I think it depends on the organization. So they'll use the disk directly, or they have something called partitions. It means dividing the disk into smaller parts. Let's say we have a disk, I mean even a laptop. When we sorry, let's say simple. Imagine like you bought a new laptop, Windows something. You have 500 GB hard disk. Will you use it like that? No, right? Disk local disk C, E, D. What are all those? Those are partitions. It means we are dividing disk into smaller parts. Why? Why we need to divide? I mean, why it is required? Can't I just use it? Yes, you can use it directly, but if something goes wrong, how the whole disk is corrupted. But if the partition is there, it's like we're dividing single disk into smaller blocks, and we're using that. Let's say if one block is gone, still we can have the data of another block. As a scenario, let's say local disk C drive is corrupted. If you go to internet shop something, they'll reinstall the OS just in C drive. The D drive, whatever the data in there, D or C, some EF something, they won't corrupt. Correct, right? That's why to keep it safe. I mean, let's say if it's a single disk only, no partitions, you didn't do any partitions. Something is gone, the whole disk is same, so it will be gone. That's why everyone uses partitions, and whatever you're seeing is the partition names. So forget about these two things. We don't care anymore. This one, XVDA1. Obviously, disk name is XVDA, so it will be XVDA1. If you do another partition, XVDA2. If you do third one, XVDA3, something like that. If you see XVDA1 size 8 GB, I mean out of the sorry, the disk size is 8 GB, and they created a partition of 8 GB. That's it. Only one partition they created, remaining just 10 MB or 1 GB, and they are using it. So got it. So now here what happens is like, okay, now what I do in my laptop, let me show you here. See, one disk, I think 500 GB disk, 250, I created a partitions. Now While creating these partitions, it will ask you these letters. These letters are very important actually. Of course, when you set a pen drive or or hard disk just for temporarily, it will give the number by default because those are temporary. You'll remove it again. But this disks or these partitions belongs to your disk, so by default you have to choose a number. If you don't choose it, obviously, so Windows will choose it. But here it's not like that. Here in Linux, you had to choose your your number. I mean, sorry, your letter, not number. So in Windows, it's CD. In here, there are something called mount points. Nothing but a folder. So let's say I created a disk, right? 10 GB disk, but I can't use it. If you observe, whatever the files I'm creating, by default it will go to this one XVDA only, not XVDB1. Why? Because Linux, it's, I mean, that you attached the disk, but you haven't, I mean, at the server level you attached it, but OS still can't identify it. For that, we need to do few things, but we'll see that. So what we have to do is we have to mount the disk to some path in Linux. So then Linux will take care of it. You have to mount the disk. So how to mount it? So you can mount to any folder. It does not matter really. Just like local disk E, local disk C, these are all mount points only. Mount path. Here we'll have to give our local path. Let me create a folder here. Okay, test is already there. I want to mount it here. So what are the steps to mount? There are two steps. First thing is we have to check whether it's a new disk or a old disk. What does it mean, new or old? I mean, when you created this disk. So you have to find out that. So I just created the disk. I think you all seen. So it's a new disk. There is no data inside it. If there is no data inside it, it's a new disk. We have one format to do. And we have one procedure to do. But in if you have data already, you have different one. Why? I'll show you. So since it's a new disk, I have to assign a file system to it. I have to assign a file system to it. What is file system? What is this file system? I never heard of it. Just I'll say in a single line. It's a method of storing the data in an organized way in the disk. So what happens is, by default, as of now, the disk which I've attached, 10 GB disk, it's a raw disk. I mean, we can't use it as of now. We can't do anything on it. So we assign some file system to the disk. So what happens here is, it will store the data in organized format. How, I mean, what does it mean? Organized format is, it will usually all disk, you know, store the data in blocks format, small blocks. So when you retrieve it, they'll come as a single file. When you want to see the data, it will come as a single file, but internally it will store as a blocks. Why? Because these smaller blocks, it's easy to process the data. That one thing. I mean, why the file system? And another thing is, here we are. I mean, let's say we have a room. It's a storeroom. Let's say even every now and then, you're just coming and throwing some things, the unwanted things, whatever you want in that storeroom. The storeroom becomes messy, right? Let's say instead of that, you organize your storeroom neatly, like you'll keep some boxes, and inside the boxes you'll keep those the unused things by you. So here what you do, it will be easy for you to manage, and as well as it will store more things, right, than unorganized. That's why the file system here also. Same way. So when the data comes, file system store in a organized format, one after the other, one after the other, so that there won't be no space misused or unnoticed. Got it right? So this is why we have to choose a file system. There is a file system. There are multiple file systems. I mean, ext4, ext4, 3 also there, but I think no one uses 3 nowadays. ext4, xfs, sorry, xfs are there. There are few differences between these file systems. So all are like based on how many directories we can create in a file system. You know, how many uh, sorry, maximum file system size. So all these are there. Anything you can use anything, no problem. Let's say since in AWS, most I think most everyone uses XFS file system. So let's use the same thing. So now what we have to do, we have the file system now. So we want to use the XFS file system. Why? Because why file system is the way it organizes the data, the way it's maintains the disk that way. Now what we have to mounting, we have to mount, I told you right, we have to mount the disk LSB LK. Sorry.
ఎల్ఎస్ అన్న ఎల్లేదు.
Sorry, my mistake. LSBLK. Come on, man. Yeah, sorry. So what we have to do is we have to format this disk and use it. Why required format? It's a empty one, right? I mean, you correct what I'm saying, right? Why it is required? Because with this format only, while formatting, you're not really formatting. We're just applying our file system to the disk. Simple, I mean, we call it simply format. I mean, whenever it's required, but generally, but you can call it make file system. So what it means, we're just, sorry, what do we say? Assigning a file system to the disk. Let's try. What is the command? mkfs. Mkfs means make file system. We're making a file system, right? Obviously, to the disk. What is the file system name? xfs, just in our case. What is the disk name? Slash dev slash xvdb, I guess xvdb. It's done. That's it. So here what's happening is we have like used this command called mkfs, and we are using this command with our file system name. I mean, what is our file system name? I mean, xfs. We're using that on our disk. So it means the xfs file system, it will be applied to our disk. Sorry, my bad. Now Observe it. How to check whether XFS file system is applied or not? Same command, lsblk command I've used, list of blocks hyphen f. F means, see, it will show you file system information. xvdb xfs, correct? Remaining all are fine. There is nothing. See, it's clear, right? See, xvda also is xfs only. See, but what is this slash? They are mount point. So the default disk which created by default when we create a server, that is attached to slash path. Slash is the root of everything, right? The directed slash is the root directory for in Linux. Everything whatever you're doing now, under the slash only. Even if you're creating a new disk and mounting it to some path, that is also under slash only. That's all. So it's attached to slash and we are using it. Now our disk also there. So XFS file system is ready. Sorry, this one. Now what is our next case? Still I can't use it. Even though I'll send the file system, I can't use it as I told you. We have to mount it to some folder in Linux. Then we can start using it. How to mount? There is a command mount. What is the source? Slash dev slash xvd b, I guess. What is the path? This is the path I want to mount. Any path, it does not matter really. Don't use just slash. Okay, don't just use slash. Why? Because slash is already being used by some other disk, so you can't use it. So that's why I had to use some other path which is not being used by disks. You can pass some argument here, hyphen t. What is t means type? What is the type of our file system? XFS. It's not mandatory, but just keep it, because if in, let's say, you're going to company and they're using multiple file systems, at the time it's required. You have to tell this to this command that which is the what is the type of this file system. Okay, let's enter. Oh, it's done. Now try lsblk. See, now it came. Earlier it was not there. Here, am I correct? This is mount point is was empty because we didn't mount it. Now see, it is there. See, now whatever you store in the opt, this path, opt test, let's go here. It'll show, it'll store in this disk. uh, what is a bigger file to download? Anything is there. Maybe let's download something huge, something. let's let's download this thing. Let's see, this will come around 4 GB something. We'll see the difference. Let's see if it works or not. Not found. Ah, super. It is not there. This might work. Still, this is also not there. Server. Ah, nothing. That's okay. I'm just trying this display you something. Okay. Bad like it's not working. But yeah, let's create a folder something. mkdir-p not op. So I created a folders. So now this 1, 2, 3 folders on all. These will be storing in this xvdb, because whatever we created here, this will go to here. Okay. So this is about disk still there is, I mean, it's not finished yet, but let's see. So this is about, how the disks will be shown in our Linux server, how to see the disk, how to format then the disk, format with the file system. See here, if you remember here, I told you, if it is a newer disk only, we have to assign a file system. What if it's just older, file system, sorry, older disk? It's already there, that disk have some data. Then you don't need to format, file system assign or anything, because if the data is there means it's already have a file system. All you just need to do is mount it to some path and use it. That's it. So you don't need to format it. Correct? If you format again, what happens? The new file system will be applied, means all the older data will be deleted and new file system will be applied. So data gone, your file gone, that's it. End of the day. So make sure when you are assigning when you are mounting it, or let's say you got a similar task, hey, I got a disk, mount it to some server, some ABC server. First task, is it an existing, is a new disk, or is it an existing one with some data? Because if you once you format it with the file system gone, you can't retrieve it. There is no way to retrieve it. That's the thing. Remember it. So we have formatted the file system since, because it's our new disk, and we have mounted it. Mounted it means you have to mount it to some for path, any path, it does not matter. The path which are not being used by existing disks. Remember, do remember that, and you can use that. You can store the data. You can, it will be shown. Okay. This mount I mounted, right? Sorry, don't. Let's not use this. Yeah, it's mounted. Let me just exit. I exited. Let me just where is the server? No, this is the server. Let's reboot the instance. Let's wait for 1 minute. Let's wait for a minute.
Now, if we delete the mount point, are we going to lose the data?
If you delete the mount point, it means you're deleting a folder, a directory, right?
Yes, has
You,
obviously slash test.
you can't delete because it's already attached to a disk. We'll try that also, no problem. Okay,
Okay.
it's rebooted. Let's try. Hmm. Ah, come on. Why this much time? Ah, okay. If you observe, I rebooted my system, right? We have mounted to OPT test, but it's gone. See? You remember, right? Earlier it was showing, but now it's gone. Why? Because whatever the command you used, this one slash dev slash what is it, xvdb slash opt test, this will mount it, correct? But temporarily until server is restarted. Once server is restarted, it's gone. Again, we have to mount it. Every time the server restart, you have to log into the server and you have to do it. You have to mount it again. That's not the ideal case, right? We have to make it permanent. Let's make it permanent. How to make it? We have something called file called fs tab, file system tab. Simply fs tab means in the under ECT, sorry, etc, that we have to edit it. Vi, open it. This is the default one. Let's add another line. Forget about why this bigger thing. It'll simple. I'll say it. Oh, wait. Let me add one more. I'll go to root user. First thing what you have to give is you have to mount it temporarily. First mount -t xfs slash level slash xvdb slash opt test. Yep, it's mounted lsblk. Sorry, my keypad is too bad. Yeah, lsblk, it's, see, it temporarily mounted, right? Now to make it permanent, I have to open this file. What is the disk name? Slash dev slash xvdb. This is the disk name. And what is the mount point? Mount point means the where we mounted. Slash opt slash test. I think it's correct. What is the file system? Sorry, what is the file system name? XFS is the file system. Now, if you see, uh, I am using this. I mean, until now, this is clear, right? This is the source. I mean, source means our, what is our disk path. I think this is correct. And this is where we are mounted, the mount point usually we call it. Now, third, obviously, the file system. The fourth field, defaults. These are associated to file system. So here what happens is like they are using something UID, GID 0, some short mask name, but just for our testing purpose, keep it defaults only. Don't change anything until you know about the disk completely. Okay, let's keep it like that. And the last, these are fold fields. Yeah, fifth field, sixth field, 0 0. Why I'm keeping it 0 0 is if we enable the fifth field, it will back up the file system. I don't want the backup, so that's why I keep it 0. If you want to enable the backup, keep it 1. I don't want it, so let's keep it 0. Now sixth field 0. Here sixth field, what happens is it will check and repairs the file system if any, available, sorry, if any errors are there. Got it? So fifth field is to dump that back file system, I mean to take a backup of the file system, entire file system. When it will take? When you start the server at the boot time, while booting, server is booting, I mean starting, it will take the backup. If you keep it 1, if you don't, if you keep it 0, just it means disabled. I don't want to take backup. Sixth field is check and repair the partition. I don't want to check my partition. I just leave it as it is. I'll check it manually. That's why I keep it 0. Why? Because why? I mean, it's a good features only, right? I mean, one is take the backup. It will be very useful. Another is check and I mean repair the file system if anything. Correct, right? But why you are disabling it? See, if you have data with, I mean, if you have disk with huge data, hundreds GBs, PBs of data, if you restart a server, it will take easily 3 to 4 hours to start the machine because the backup will take 1 hour easily, minimum 1 hour, and this file system check will take 3 to 4 hours. See, that much time it will take sometimes based on the data, how much size. I don't want to waste my time over there, right? By mistakenly you restarted your server and these are 1 1 gone. The whole day it will be like that. If you have, let's say, 500 GB or 1 TB of data, the whole day gone. The machine won't start until these are finished successfully. Sometimes what happens is the last one, repair any, fix an issue. The fix an issue, it can't fix an issue sometimes. We have to pass some parameters, some arguments. Gone, system won't start. That's why most of the times it will be 0 0 only. Okay, so you got the format, disk, the mount point, type. defaults, leave defaults, 0 for backup. I mean disable the file system checking and repairing. Now save it. This type mount command mount hyphen a. Mount hyphen a means we're just updating the file. I mean whatever inside the fstab file it will remount again. lsblk. Now it's, I mean it's already mounted. So and we just made make it permanent with fstab file. Now let's reboot it. The system will reboot now. Let's wait for a minute. Now we'll see whether it exists or not. I mean the mount point is exist or not. Hmm. Let's log in now. Let's reboot. It won't take hardly a minute. Mhm. Yes, I logged in. Type lsblk. See, it's there. Last time it was not there, but now it's there because last time we did temporary mounting with the mount command, mount hyphen t something. That will that will be gone after reboot. But with fstab file, we make it permanent. We mentioned in the fstab file. So this became permanent. How it became permanent is internally what it will do is when the system is rebooting, when system is starting, this file will get execute. It means whatever the disk like this, I mean the disk paths are there, those will get remounted. That's why it is permanent. I mean when you shut down, it'll unmount it. But when you start it, this file gets executed. Whatever inside this file will get executed. So due to that, it'll remount again. That's why. That's how. So that's how we make it permanent. Oh yeah, now it's mounted. Correct? LSBLK. It's mounted, correct? Now let's try to delete this folder as someone asked. Opt test. This is the mount point, right? Which we have using for disk. Let's see. Permission denied. Sorry. Go to root user. I didn't create this. Root created this, so I don't have access. Let's try from here. Ah, why man? Device or resource busy. You got it right? When you mounted a directory to some disk, you can't delete it because it's already being used by something. By something means by the disk. So the resource, I mean the directory is being used, so you cannot delete it. Got it right? You cannot delete it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So that's about uh, how we the disks. I mean, still it is there. It's not finished. So now, see, if you observe as of now, we have managed the disk only. It means like sorry. So directly we mounted the disk to something, but I may not use it like that. I want to have what do you say, partitions similar to like this. They have a disk for 8 GB by default. They created a partition XVDA1 and they mounted it. So now they'll have like that multiple partitions. So if one partition is corrupted, other partitions are fine. They won't have an issue. Similarly, our local disk CDE, they are also partitions. But in our XVDB, which we just mounted, This is we are mounting the disk directly. So now what happens if something goes wrong? The whole disk corrupted, gone. So I don't want like that. Now I want to make a partitions, and I want to mount those partitions. Partitions will be numbers 1, 2, 3, 4. It will come like that. So now first what I have to do? It's permanently mounted, right? Unmount it. The command is umount opt test. Oh, it's umounted already. Cool. See, it's gone. Now what we did? We had to do another thing. fstab file, right? We had to remove this entry. That's it. Do mount I file. Done. Now we have unmounted the disk. We can't access the disk anymore. Now I want to make partitions inside that, and now I have to mount those partitions. Mounting again also same. If you see now I created folders earlier, but it's not there in opt test because I have unmounted it. Mounted, it will show that whatever the data in the disk, it will show here in this folder. Whatever you create, it will be storing in the disk. But now unmounted it, I mean unattached the disk from the mount point, data is not share, not here. So it is in disk. But now whatever case, we have to make this as a partitions. So the data will be gone. We cannot retrieve it back. So that's why whenever someone is doing partition, they'll do at the initial stage itself. They don't do in the middle after some days creating a volume because data is already stored. You can't get it back. So how to do it? There is something called fdisk command. Fdisk. So this will do the partitions or gdisk. Where is it? Gdisk, gdisk, anything. Let's try this. Type device file name. It seems. What is the device file name? /dev slash xvdb, I guess. Command for help. It is saying. What is the command we want? N. What is the N means? Create new partition. Partition number. Default. What number you want? I mean, if you see here XVDA 1, 127 something, right? What number you want like this? Um, I want 6 maybe. Let's try. Remove these things. So here we have to define a size. So I don't. I for now just leave it default because I don't want to. Let's skip it. Let's say maybe. Mm, what is the size? 10 GB, right? So maybe let's 5G. Just example. Hex code. It is asking for a hex code. What are hex code means? What type of a file? I mean partition you're creating. So 8000, I think 8300. Okay, this is the default one. There are multiple types of hex codes that we'll see maybe in next class. But yeah, for now, just type the default. We don't need it. Change the type to Linux file system. It's created, I guess. Now let's type W just to save. Do you want to final checks complete about right at GBD is override existing partitions? Do you want to yes, yes? It means it's deleting the existing ones. The operation has completed successfully. Let's see. LSB, LK. See, XVD. See, it's created. Simple. Out of XVD, this is the 10 GB disk. We have created a volume with 5 GB. Let's create again. Let's see F disk. Will it work here in AWS? Oh, we have to use some different thing. Okay, for F disk.
It will work. We need to give black name on
Sorry, sorry.
fdisk
Ah,
space
yes,
x.
yes, yes.
We need to.
Correct, correct, exactly. So for F disk, we have to give like this. What is XVDB? Yeah, correct. This is the command. Same, it will be in the same format. I mean, whatever we have just used, but with a different fdisk also people use. That's it. Same commands. Command no, yum for help. Let's type yum. These are all the signals that you can use. I mean, so earlier I've used n. Where is the n? Add a new partition. See, D means you can delete the partition. List means it lists the partition types. Type L. These are all the partition types. Blah blah blah. I think so many will be there. See, see how many are there. Command M again. So now what our scenario? I want to create a new partition. Correct? N. So I have to give you n. Partition number. Default is 1. I have already used 6. I want to use maybe 9. First sector, leave as it is. Second sector, your size. I think I already created 5 GB. 5 GB remaining. Okay, I'll just create now 3 GB. I'll just keep 2 GB as it is. Value out of range.
We need to give plus
Sorry,
3 0.
sorry, my bad. Yes, created part name. What is it? Yeah, 9 partition with size 3 GB. Now I want to save it. If you observe W, write table to disk and exit. I'm just saving. Enter. It's done. Same commands if you used, I'm used. Same. Where is it? Let's go here. Not here. Not this. It's gone. Where is the G disk I've used? Yeah. I mean it won't show you, but see, yeah, see. N I've used. It means to create a new partition. Blah blah. See. F disk. Sorry, in the size I didn't mention plus because gdisk does not require plus. For fdisk I just gave plus 3 GB means give 3. And finally w save. It's saved. It's asking for a prompt again. You want proceed, yes or no? Yes, because it has a data. Same thing here also. It's done. Let's see. lsblk. See, xvdb69. If you don't give a number, it will take it by default 1 2 3 4. But I just gave a number. That's it. Not really mandatory. You have to give a number, something like that. But you can give. It's okay. Now these are our partitions. Got it? So earlier, if you remember what we did for a disk, we did directly we formatted with a file system and mounted it, right? Now we can't mount the disk. Why? Because we have partitions already inside the disk. We have partitions inside the disk. We can't mount this one directly. We have to mount the partitions. So again, it's a new one. We just created a new thing, right? First thing what you have to do, format the file system with, sorry, format the disk with the file system. mkfs, we just did it xfs. What is it? Slash dev slash xvdb. What is that? 6. What is another one? 9. Now it got the file system of xfs. Got it right? So we cannot format the disk now because it has, we can't use the disk also directly because it has partitions. We have to use partitions. Now first thing what you did, mount, oh sorry, formatted with file system. Is it done? Yes. Now what I have to do? Mount it. Mount hyphen t xfs. What is the source? xvdb6 opt test. I'll mount here. It's mounted. And I want to mount another one also. I'll create a folder slash home test one. I want to mount xvdb9 here. Same command, mount hyphen t xfs slash dev slash xvdb9. What is that? Slash home test1. Enter. See, it's mounted. I want to check lsblk. See, does it came or not? Now if you go here and save your, write your data or save your data, it will be stored in these partitions. It means in the disk. Got it, right? How to create a disk? We can't create a disk in Linux. You just have to attach the disk to Linux and use it. What we have seen is we got a disk, we tried it, we mounted it and sorry, we formatted it with the file system and mounted it using it. Now I don't want that, so I want to use this one, file systems, because I don't want to use the disk directly. So what I did, I created a partitions inside the disk, formatted them with the file system and used it. So this is what about the disk, I mean, how to manage this and all. So not a bigger deal, but if it is have data, then it will become a bigger deal. So now let's take a small scenario. So these are already, I mean, of course, XPDB disk, we got partitions, everything data is already there, let's say. Now this disk I want to attach to some other server. I can show you now. So I'll maybe in another classes. Imagine a scenario now. So I want to mount this disk to some server. So I mounted it. Mounted means I attached it. I mean, let's say with the wire I attached the disk, hard disk. Now at the time it's already have partitions, right? We already have the partitions here. Now you just attach to different server. So once again you don't need to do partition, nothing over there. It's just one time task for a disk, one time. So now if you attach it to the new server, what you have to do is you just have to mount it to the servers, to the path wherever it is in that server. That's it. You just have to mount the partition to some path, to some mount point. But yeah, all you have to is type lsblk like this. You can type -f. So find out, okay, this is XFS file system, find out. This won't come when you attach to a new server. So you have to mount it with these commands and fstab file, we have to make it permanent. That's all. Got it? So this is about disk. I mean, creating a disk. I mean, not really creating a disk, managing the disk, creating partitions, formatting with the file system, and using it. There are few more commands which majorly helps. See, every now and then I'm using lsblk. Correct? lsblk will just show you the disks, how many disks are there, and what are some partitions, mount point. But I want to know how much space they are using the disk. I mean, let's say slash is there, or our these things, let's say, or these mount points. How much size they are using? They are 8 GB, okay. How much has been used already? How much is free? We have to see those things. Those are very important, not these. LSBLK won't show you. That's why we have some commands called df. Df means disk free. Regularly use this we generally. Disk free commands will show you the size. See, this is the size. Don't worry. Oh, what is this? Some numbers are there. We'll make it to our own format. Don't worry. So the df disk free is the command which will show. See, file system. What is your file system? xvd6, 9, xvd1, eda1. Used. How much used? I mean, this is the size. How much used? How much available? Percent in percentage. What is the mount point? It will show all these information. But what it will show? I mean, what are this? All these things means. Df command will show information about the disk usage. Not really the disk usage, but whatever the mounted partitions, right, those will be displayed in df-h. If you observe, our disk is not there here. This is the disk, right? Where is the disk here? No. Our xvda also, it's not showing. If you observe, no, it's not there. See why? Because it will show only which are mounted points. This is there, this is there. See, this is there, okay, there, this is there, there. Bootfi there. These are also, these are all, I mean, slash dev, these are also mounted defaultly by, I mean, along with installation. So you don't change it, don't touch it. So df will show only mounted file systems, I mean mounted points, mount points simply. So only it will show, let's say you have mounted some hundreds of uh, you have 10 disks with 100 partitions, it will show 100 here. So whatever is mounted it will show here, if not mounted it won't. Let's say we'll unmount this one, xvd9, we don't want it now. So you mount slash dev slash, sorry, sorry, my bad, we have to use mount point, home test one. Okay, see, I unmounted it. Okay, have used the command, that's okay. D- does it showing here? Does it showing here? No, because I unmounted it. DF will show only mount points, only which are mounted file, whether it can be disks or partitions. If it is mounted only, DF will show, if not it won't show. Clear? Let's mount it again, 1y2. Anyway, by tomorrow it will be gone. xfs slash dev slash xvdb9 slash home test 1, enter, mounted df hyphen h. It's came back. So we have to use hyphen h format, hyphen h argument, so that it will be clear for you. See, earlier I've just used a df. Does it really understandable? Because df by default it will show in a blocks format for you, so you can't understand it. So hyphen h means human readable format, so that we can able to see. So when you use hyphen h, what happens? What is the size now? XPD6, sorry, DB6, 5 GB. How much is 68 MB by default? It will store some OS file. So obviously, and how much is free? 4.9 GB. 2% used. Small point. So now it's clear, right? If you use hyphen h, got it? So like that, you can use. There is another command hi. What is this I? H means human readable format. Okay, what is this I means? Inode numbers. How many inode numbers are present? 1.5 million, 2.5 million. So what are these inode numbers? If you remember, unique, I mean every directory, every file within a Linux machine have inode number. It's a unique number. Why? Because it will give uniqueness of the file. That's why you can't create multiple files with the same name because of these inode numbers. Inode won't accept it. That's why. So sometimes what happens is, and as I told you earlier also, partition, file systems will also have some limitations. Every file system, I mean, how many folders we can create, what is the maximum size of the file. So those limits will be there for every file system. If you cross that, you can't create the file or directory, so you have to be in that limits. Sometimes, let's say as an example, this file system have a limit of 32,000 directories. It means in this mount point, you can create 32,000 directories because that's where we mounted the disk. It means whatever you store there, it will store in the disk, right? I mean the partitions. So you can create 32,000 folders in that within that mount point. See, it's normally a folder or directory, but when it's attached to a disk or partition, it's a mount point. Remember that. That's how the terms. So let's say how inodes. What happens is unique inodes, right? Unique. So it means here 2.5 million means you can create 2.5 million files or folders or combine. So maximum is 2.5 million. If you cross that, it won't allow. You have to delete some older ones, then only you can create it. Got it? So is this clear? The df command. There is one more command. Du. Du means disk usage. What it will do? Check the size of the file or a folder. I mean, of course, obviously there is nothing here in the file. Let's open. Let's write something. Let's see. Blah blah blah. Whatever it is. Let's see. It's 4 KB. You can check the size of any file. folder. etc is a folder, right? 22 MB it seems. Let's type slash root. 84 KB. Let's type maybe some, what is it, slash something, opt 116 KB. So du-sh command is used for check the size of a file or a directory. Df is for files, mounted paths, mounted file systems. Correct? Let's use df-sh star. Df-sh star means it will show all the, you know, it will show the size of all the files within our current path. Let's go to opt. So there are two. Simply I use df-sh star. See, it will show you like this. All everything. I mean, whatever the files or directories mentioned in this current path, wherever we are, if you use star, it will show you all the disks. I mean, all the size of the files and directories within that path. That's all. Got it? So this is about disk management. I mean, how you see it, how you create partitions, format it, use it. If it is new only, format with a file system. If it is existing, there will be a file system already. Don't format it again. If you format it again, the data will be lost. No coming back from that. No recovering from that. And yeah, and of course LSBLK commands, DF commands at last I told you, so that is very important. So how it will show only the mounted file systems, disk usage, free available, blah blah, and everything, and DU also. So this is about disk management, which we can use. If you are going into a startup, maybe you might need to do this. Maybe I don't know. Sometimes what happens is IT guys will take care of it, these disks, because everything will be under their control. I mean, the machines, memory, I mean, disks and everything, because they manage it from a central point of view. But sometimes, then maybe you may be IT guy, so it happens. You have to manage it. So that's it for today's class. There won't be class tomorrow. I won't be available, and we'll start on Wednesday again. I think Wednesday, right? Yeah. Tomorrow Tuesday there won't be any class. I'll be traveling. Wednesday we'll start. Wednesday we'll see about memory management, memory and CPU. Today we have seen disk, right? Okay, one of the component. And next class is memory, CPU. These are the things. These are the main components, right, that for a server required. So today we have seen only one, and Wednesday we'll see two. Got it?
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, any doubts? I mean, so far any doubts? If you can't ask in a class, there is a group, right? Ask or message me personally. I might reply late, but I'll reply at least. Okay. So don't just sit idle. I mean, like, don't just be in a position where you can't ask it out. Ask it out. Nothing, nothing really. Even see someone, I don't know whose name it is. He told me, UFS disk. You have to use the disk name. I forgot about it. It's nothing wrong really. You're just learning. That's it. So, any doubts? Ping me personal or ping in group. And I shared you the kernel Linux PDF already. I think this also might be covered in that. Check once. If not, I'll see something else. I'll see some other document or some other link, from tutorial link so you can follow. But do practice. Okay. Yeah. All right. Bye then. Bye. We'll meet on Wednesday. No class tomorrow. Okay. Wednesday class will be there. Bye. Bye.